What is going on, everyone? I'm back into the studio. Episode number 54. It has been a great experience. I want to let everybody know, tracking, I've always kind of tracked my food, but tracking my food, making sure my workouts are getting better. My sleep is improving drastically. I had 2 days where I just was not sleeping well. It was just an awful, I was like laying down for like 8 hours, just couldn't seem to fall asleep. It was like 4.5, 5 hours. I track it on, I have a Sleep Number bed, so I just track it on that. My sleep was really suffering, so I didn't train yesterday. But then today I made sure I just took, all of Sunday off, just focused on rest and recovery, and came back strong this morning. So I feel absolutely amazing. And it's just sleep. I mean, people really discredit sleep so much as any sort of performance enhancer, but it really does help when you're well rested. It's kind of something that we practice and preach, but if you're not doing that, you're really skipping out. This episode, I came across something while I was working out, and it's in another video, or it will be in another video, about this new Instagram trend, and it's been going on for probably about a year, and consistently back and forth I've seen it, where a young lady or a young man will show you the Instagram versus reality. And it's usually, a picture of them posing, and they're all, jacked and ripped, and, everything is tucked and every high-waisted, and, the guy is angled properly and the female is angled properly. And then they go to reality. And then they'll show, I could bring some things up onto the screen, things I'll be referencing. But I want to let everyone know, just really, all of it is reality. All of it. And by that I mean the reality picture is the picture. If you have set up a false idea or a bubble world in which none of the people that you look at have flaws, and you're always just, oh my God, they're so perfect, and you're liking their stuff and hyping them up, you're only pushing that delusion even further. So it seems to be that people are saying that you are brave for doing things like that. Now, I can't have that. I don't think it's very brave at all. I think that you have manipulated a situation, and a lot of it is body dysmorphia. A lot of it is the unrealistic expectation you hold people to, but yet you won't hold yourself to, or you do, and now you're extremely depressed and you're extremely, anxious and aimless when you post something to see how many likes you get, and I need to smooth this out and move this over. So I wanted to talk about filters, fantasy, and Photoshops. So I think that it's a good subject to get to for all men and women. It seems to be kind of more pushed towards females, or pushed towards women. And I can also tell you, from being a man, I can honestly tell you that I think it's pretty even. I'm in the fitness industry, and I have seen quite a bit of filters, Photoshops, and just pure fantasy. And I was reading this article, and this it just popped up. So what is filter dysmorphia and how it is affecting facial plastic surgery trends? Now, we can all go on Botched, or you go on all these people who have or people who are addicted to plastic surgery. But this seems to be pretty interesting, because it says in the article it is affecting millennials more now than ever. So, with it affecting millennials a lot more, obviously it is a younger generation that is holding their face and body hostage to this impossible standard. So I want to kind of, if I can, clear the air the best I can without sounding like a bitter son of a bitch. because I find that when people talk about situations like this and subjects like this, they also condemn or they put down people who really are actually working that hard or really are have committed their entire life to their body and their health or body image or fitness or any of those things. And I think that that's just kind of getting caught in the crossfire when you talk about a subject like this. So, according to this, like I was saying, what is filter dysmorphia? There are several apps that allow people to use filters to create perfect versions of themselves. While there are some filters that are silly and can add a cat nose or dog ears, there are many other options that can truly change a person's facial features. While there's no crime in wanting to improve and enhance your appearance, you need to have a realistic expectation more frequently than not. These filters give people warped senses of their appearance, often leading to them to look at the imperfections that don't exist. This can bring them to plastic surgery office wanting to achieve the image they've created. A qualified plastic surgeon can tell you what is achievable and what is unrealistic when it comes to the procedures available. So this is kind of a big one for me because, I mean, this is going more along on the lines of face, but I have also the filters and in how dangerous they can be for your mind, especially if you are still pretty moldable. Your mind is still really developing. You're still, trying to find out who you are as a human. And I think that's why it's affecting millennials as often as it is, and younger. And you all have seen it. I mean, I swear, after kind of diving deep into this these past 2 to 3 days, I'm sorry, but I did take probably 12 people off my Instagram that I was like, why am I so, like, why do I keep looking at this person? They literally are just staring into the camera with a filter and doing this. And I mean, I could, with music playing in the background. Now, although I do think it's like, yeah, okay, you're feeling yourself a little bit. I get down with that. But this is all the time. So it's very clear there's something going on here. And yes, a little bit of is, narcissism, but it also is just these people are in awe or addicted to the way that the filter makes them look or how it makes them look and feel. Maybe it gives them that hit of dopamine. I don't really know. But I can say, and I'm not that type to block anybody for political stuff or how you feel about a situation or anything. I have plenty of people that I disagree with that I need to see because then it lets me know if I do disagree with them, what is the argument here? What is the opposition? But with stuff like that, it didn't make my life any better. It was, if anything, it made me kind of feel kind of bad or sorry for them. I don't want to say I feel sorry for them, but it's like it just made me feel bad for them. Okay, I'll say it. So really, it really bothered me. So I went into this little bit of a search, and I searched also for, there are 10 fitness Photoshop actions and presets on this. There's an app that you can buy, and if you've seen the pictures, like, obviously there's lights in here that make me look very good. We have a light over here. We have a light over here. We have a light above head. It is called a hair light. Whatever hair I have left. So the idea of doing this is to up production. And yes, I do look differently. We also have a color balancer that we can use so you can color edit if you needed to. But this is more along the lines of really just kind of pushing it into that. On the left, we have photos of people who, are in a fitness shoot, and then the color correction to make them look more muscular, more vascular, more six-pack, more this. And then some of it also, it does have an option where you can Photoshop as well. I think there's a big problem in this, with this, obviously, because it sets this expectation for every single person that you are going to be interacting with, that they need to be like you, or they need to look like you, or they need to. And now that's not your problem. But if you're doing stuff like this, you're not helping either. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to say you can't look good and have a six pack and be jacked and all this other stuff. I mean, good for you. For some of it, it's the point. But we're talking just kind of the way what people are now holding their standards to. So now you're holding your standards to all of this, and not even realizing that most of it was photoshopped and colored and moved over and filtered, and the people behind it, or the people that are doing it, are really suffering. So it made me kind of feel bad. Once again, I kind of felt sorry for them, because obviously I've built a pretty honest reputation and career. I've done a little boxing, done a little, with MMA training. I've done a little strength training, done a little powerlifting, done a little bit of everything. So I'm a master of nothing. But during those times, I've realized it's all mental for me. All this, the suffering, the shared suffering, the moving, the getting up, the working hard, the focusing on your sleep, the sacrifices, saying no to people. Those are the things that we need to focus on. And I mean, in that, all the aesthetics is the byproduct of doing that. So I like to, with my clients and myself, is get more involved with the mental capacity, the mental side of doing those things, because those are really tough things to do. Not to say, like I said, discrediting any of this, but there is just flat out filtering and filtering and overall just fantasy on a lot of this stuff. And now I'm looking in another one that I did, where there was plenty of Instagram posts that come up where people have tagged, the Instagram versus reality one. And although I do like what some of them are saying, I think that if you set up this false reality over the people that you look at on Instagram or on Facebook, you are also kind of holding them to this ridiculous standard of how they should look, how they should feel. And it really is just posing, A lot of it is that you could just pose differently, which is why in fitness and in bodybuilding, you have a posing coach. Most people have a posing coach. Now, I say this, obviously I'm deep into this world, I'm deep into this thing. Why do you have a posing coach? Well, you have a posing coach to hide your imperfections. And I know how that sounds to some of you. They're like, what the hell? That person is in phenomenal shape. Yes, they are. But they also have underdeveloped muscles, overdeveloped muscles. They have, this quad's bigger, this quad's smaller. We all have that. But the idea of posing is to hide those things and to show your strengths. If you have better shoulders, if you have better chest, all of those things. I told this to, I was talking to my buddy about this on Saturday because we went out. And he was like, really? Are you serious? I'm like, I thought everybody knew. But once again, if you're deeply, submerged in this world like I am, I mean, you got to know that that's a thing. That's a thing. And it's all about posing. So you have a lot of people, the girl or the young man locking out the back leg, the booty pose every fit chick does. It's like, stick your ass out, make sure you rotate your hips, forward. So, you can distort to make it look like you have a butt. And then there's plenty of pictures where it's the same person doing the same thing. Now, here's my thing. I don't care what you do. I'm just letting people know the reality, the Instagram versus reality. Reality is the reality. You know what I mean? If you're holding Instagram to this like fantasy world, you have got a lot of stuff you got to work on. It's one of those things that bothers me, because I've also met some people that I've even held to a very, very high standard or in my head. And then I saw them and I was like, wow, they're a lot they don't really look like that, or they don't really act like that or look like that. So I think there's a big importance in keeping people honest. I saw Brian Shaw, who is a World's Strongest Man. I saw him years ago at Mohegan Sun, and it was insane. I saw Felix. He's also an amazing strongman. And I saw Mariusz Pudzianowski. So I'm seeing all these guys. Now, they were the opposite. They were way bigger than I thought. Because when you see them performing on strongman, you're like, oh, wow, they're next to another guy who's 6'7". So I actually was walking, and Felix was actually behind me, and I turned around, and he just took up everything. He was a massive human being. And I looked back, and I was like, oh, my God. And I was like, I shook his hand, or he shook my body. He's like, oh, nodded to me. He had headphones on. I didn't want to bother him too much. And then Brian Shaw, when we were coming in, I got to see him, and and this is way before all of his accolades. Now he was very, very young. Then he was massive. I mean, he was just huge. So the thing is it's the same kind of thing when you're looking at. I'm looking at right now all these Instagram versus reality, and a lot of them is just posing. And although I do think these people who are making these comparisons are great, I also think there's something clearly wrong with us as a society, or us, just as people, as humans, where we are going to think that people don't have stretch marks, or don't have cellulite, or don't have hangy skin, or haven't the person who's lost all the weight, if they lost 120 pounds, that they have extra skin, that they're not tucking in and tucking up. And it's like, if you think that you can just do those things and not have anything, or that person is just like that, that's a terrible thing to think. And I mean, I think it creates this unrealistic world, and it's not. Real people do have stretch marks. I have stretch marks on my arms right here, because when I gained all that weight, I was in a bro bulk, and I gained like 30 pounds, and my legs, I still kind of have some stretch marks in the inner thigh, because my legs blew up like crazy, because you're squatting heavy every day, you're deadlifting heavy every day, and I have clients, past clients, friends, people that I've met with that have come to me and asked about extra skin or cellulite or stretch marks, and it's just like, or what could they do for this? What can they do for that? And I tell them every time, I some of them I go, hey, you got to go see a doctor. You need to go see somebody. That's the only way. That's the only way. This girl on Instagram did this and that, and this guy on Instagram, he did that. And it's like, well, then, follow with that, but ask real questions to get real answers, so then that way you can really feel and find out what those people have done. So although I do enjoy seeing these, like I said, these Instagram versus reality, I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that we've held this crazy, ridiculous standard, with people, and it's kind of sad. It just makes me sad, I have a bunch of pictures of even myself where it's posing. I'm posing in those photos to make my shoulders look bigger, to make my waist look smaller, to make my legs look bigger. You could flex the front of your quad. It's really, or flex the front of your leg. It's like, you got to know how to do it. And what kills me? This one is the one that kills me. And it's so simple. I'm about to go off. About to go off. You know which one kills me? It's the dumbest shit in the world. This one, where somebody goes, they show a picture, and they're and they're sitting, but they're leaning back, so their stomach is flat. Their stomach is nice and flat, and then they show the next picture, and they're hunched over, and they got their I got belly. I can grab this belly right here. Grabbing the belly. That's everyone. Every single person. Everybody has that. You could be at 2%, 3% body fat, sit down, you're still going to get that. It's like, it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts that people legitimately will be like, oh, when she sits down, her belly doesn't fold. It's like, it's not possible, you idiot. Sorry. It's just, I shouldn't have went down this rabbit hole this week because I read and saw too many pictures similar to the ones that I'm doing. Like I said, I'll put some up, but I don't want to, poke too much fun at anybody. And then there's just flat, okay, so we can move on from this reality versus Instagram thing, which is driving me up a wall. But then we have just the flat out photoshopped. We have the pictures where people just clearly have photoshopped. And the one lately, actually, that's been, under fire, have been for quite some time. Obviously the Kardashians, they get called out from that Photoshop stuff all the time. But I mean, I totally see quite a bit of photoshopping. Yeah, this is tough to watch. So you could tell they do it around their butt and they do it around their quad or hamstring. Yeah, this is insanity. And I see it a lot with, celebrities or pictures, but that's something they'll do. They'll just smooth them out because they want those pictures to look good. So that makes sense. But it's just, this is just almost criminal. It's almost criminal. So, flat out Photoshops, trust me, I've seen it so many times and actually had to call out a couple of fitness buddies that I had. I've seen them widen their shoulders and their biceps and taper their waist. You could usually see it because like the wall looks like it's bending around them. So it's like right here and it's like, and they're like, does the wall have different properties? Like what's going on? Does gravity or the world, physics not, exist in this room? So, I mean, I've seen it so many times with, men, women, you name it, celebrities. I just never looked up to, I looked up to some of them, but it's like I never held them to that high of a standard. And if I saw something like that, I would have just called it out. So what do we do about all this? What do we do? What do we do? I know, drinking on mic. That's what I'm going to cut this right out. What do we do, Ben? Ben, what do we do? So here's what I would do. Just me. I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything. I'm just telling you what I would do. One, I would stop using filters as often as some of you do. I think that it is very damaging. It could be very damaging to your mind, seeing your face, your nose looking sleeker. I mean, I got a beak on me, man. I would love to flatten this bad boy out. But, if I wanted to, I could go to a plastic surgeon and get it done if I wanted to. But anyway, so what I would do is stop filtering, using those filters. I think that gives you this false sense of yourself and only makes you, once again, they're right, looking so, you're looking at all these flaws that don't exist because you've held yourself to a filter standard. And I think that's sad. As far as with the Instagram versus reality, just know it's all reality. Instagram is Instagram, the picture that they're sending you is their best. Nobody's sitting there posting pictures of their worst on there all the time. You know what I mean? That's not the way it works. You're getting a glimpse, a 0.5% into their life when somebody posts a picture or video. So you're getting that. But if it comes down to you needing to be more accepting of your own body, I've talked about this in the last podcast where know that it doesn't come easy, loving yourself or loving your body, because you can change your body. You just have to ask the right questions. You have to do the right thing. And I can promise you it's never this quick fix. It's never something easy. It's always something that's going to take plenty of consistency and plenty of discipline. And I know it's a crappy answer. Some people don't want to hear that answer. But guess what, Papa? That is what it is. There's nothing else I can tell you. I've had so many young men and women come through this facility, asking, how do I get my arms bigger? How do I get my legs bigger? How do I get my butt bigger? How do I get my shoulders wider, and fill out this shirt? And I tell them discipline, consistency, eating proper, understanding balanced nutrition, understanding sleep. But the big one is consistency, which means it takes time. And somebody who wants something to happen all at once, they're not going to accept that answer. They're not going to like that answer. But guess what? It is that answer. So the idea of, filtering and shrinking this and moving that on a photo is only going to make you feel like crap afterwards when somebody sees you. So don't do that. If we're talking about this in a fitness sense, just stick to the consistency. You know what I mean? Sleep, nutrition, training, working hard. It really is those answers. So I know you didn't want to hear it. Now, as far as with the just flat out Photoshop stuff, I think that is awful. If you are doing that, stop that. Knock it off, because you, one, are lying to yourself. You're then lying to others and creating this impossible standard that you've made for yourself because it's not you. And you're also creating this for other people where they're now held or holding themselves to that standard. And I don't think you have a responsibility to anybody, but I think you should always have the responsibility of telling the truth. And it definitely does happen. And it should happen that you are telling the truth, so it keeps you out of trouble. So, just think about it that way if you can. So I would say for everybody, as far as with helping and loving and getting your body to where it needs to be, focus on your body, focus on your health, read more books, ask more questions. Another thing, and this is the last thing I'll say, and I'll close on this, which seems to be on Instagram, is like almost like it's like not responding to people and like acting like you're this big thing, seems to be this attitude that people are adopting. I think it's a terrible attitude to adopt. Like, she messaged me. I'll make her wait, and then I'll probably just give her this little, it's like, and then the other person's like, yeah, that's great. They actually responded back to me. It's like, okay, you're holding those people up to a standard. They also have other lives. They also have other things. But if you're doing this, like actively, like treating people that are following you and looking at you like shit, that's not good either. It's some narcissistic shit. You got to stop doing that. So it's like the attitude, the imagery, all of it is off. So remember, this is reality. This is the real world. So focus on making your body better in the ways that we know you can, which is hard work, discipline, consistency, read books. I cannot say this enough. I am a high school dropout. I read maybe 4 books before I got out of high school. Now I'm reading 12 to 14 books a year I'm reading now. And I'm reading them all on subjects that I don't know about, or subjects that I'm clueless about, or things that I just want to know. And there's plenty of things that you can do. But read. Please just start reading and stop like looking at this headline or this picture that's going to make you feel like shit about yourself. Stop doing that. We don't need to do that anymore. Especially young people. They are just aimless right now. And according to this, and according to a lot of the things that I dove deep in, a lot of those young people are doing that. It's sad. So listen, on that note, I am out, and I will see you guys all next week. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the people subscribing. I really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you all next time.